I'm Yasmin.
And we are from Active Leaders of Love organization. In our previous video, we talked about our campaign, Think Kind, Speak Kind. We gave you highlights about the campaign, and today we want to go into more details to communicate the ideologies behind this campaign and what hate speech means. So let's begin, Yasmin, by clearly defining hate speech.
Yes, so although there's no legal definition of hate speech, it can generally be described as threatening or abusive expressions or behaviors that are intended to incite hate or humiliate somebody. And it doesn't even have to be like a certain individual. It can be a group or community or organization. And the hatred can be based on the person's religion, ethnicity, nationality, sexuality, gender orientation, and disability.
Definitely. Thanks for pointing that out. There are different people from different demographics who can testify that they have received some form of hate speech and hate comments online. So, and we can say that that's bullying, right? It is a form of bullying, even though it's virtual, and we know that hate speech has always impacted people's behaviors in real life, in the sense that when they receive hate speech virtually, the way they respond to it, some people it can cause self-harm, it can cause self-confidence issues, etc.
Cyberbullying, anything that's done online, definitely can have offline consequences.
Okay, that's very good. So how can we say that hate speech is somewhat, or to some extent, it's normalized online? Even though we disagree, many of us are aware that this is bad, but it's still normalized. Can we say that?
For sure, because social media has completely transformed the way we receive, perceive, and produce information. So there's a lot of jokes and memes that circulate online, and that can have detrimental health effects to the person experiencing it. And for instance, it can also be condoned by peers. If there's a certain pressure to fit in a friend group, the individual might act in a hateful way to show that they're cool or above somebody else, just to feel better about themselves. And what do you think?
I think you're right. I agree with you. So social media has become mostly like a socialization platform or a community platform for many people. And when we talk about community, we know that there are conversations that people are engaging in communities, right? Whether that's a virtual community or in-person community. So that is normal. However, I've seen a lot of posts online with so many hateful comments that people like and comment on them.
They endorse it.
It's almost like a community of people kind of saying yes to hate speeches. And this is why we're here to say no to hate speech. So it is somewhat normalized. I think it could be partly because people are unaware, they're not mindful of this thing. So
lack of education and also lack of the effects it can have on the victim. And just to go over a few, it can cause the victim to have low self-esteem and low self-worth, and gradually that can impact their confidence. They might not feel that they're enough or that they can do certain things because of their ethnicity or race. It may make them feel like an outsider.
Definitely. Right. And I think it's almost like a vicious cycle, because when hate speeches affect my behavior online, my behavior can affect somebody else who's close to me and my relationships, like my family members or my friends, and just how I perform at work, etc. So hate speech is definitely a social issue, and I'm glad that we're talking about it today. So when we talk about hate speech, can we just briefly give ideas of how people can respond to hate speeches online? How do we respond?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say the main thing is to not take it personally and to have that understanding that when somebody is projecting hate towards you, it usually stems from a deeper issue they have inside themselves, whether that be jealousy or lack of education. So we as human beings tend to mirror our experiences and feelings. So if I'm saying hateful things to you, that means that I must feel insecure and I must hate myself. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. Right, so it's important to not personalize it. And also just ignore it, right? Because, and keep in mind that this experience is temporary. In 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years, you're probably not even gonna remember what the hateful comment was, right? Just be so focused on your own goals and aspirations that you don't have time to even think twice about this speech. And also, whether it's from a stranger online or the hate is coming from your family member, just remember that they both have one thing in common. They're trying to provoke a reaction in you. So by ignoring them, you don't add fuel to the fire. You are, there's nothing for them to thrive on to come at you with more, right? So I think ignoring it and diverting that attention into something else is much better. And maybe you could do things like go for a walk or meditate or maybe exercise to
I
keep
think
your
talking
mind
to
off.
someone as well.
Or sharing it with a friend, of
Definitely.
course.
Talking to someone that's close to you, a family member or a close friend, reporting it online. I think we talked
For
about
sure.
that many of these platforms have embedded in them ways to report a comment or a post that we find are hateful or violates another person's humanity or human rights or privacy.
Yeah.
So definitely, that's
And I think like on an individual level, we can follow those tips, but some of you may be wondering, like, what about those with a huge following or influencers or celebrities? Like, how might like they deal with it, right? So, like you mentioned, with regulations, I think.
Yes, we talked about regulations.
Yeah, social media platforms are doing what they can to combat this.
Definitely. I think we need to bring more awareness to it and encourage people to, support the idea of, okay, freedom of speech online. However, if you're not mindful of your freedom of speech online, you're not responsible, then your comment and your freedom will be regulated to some extent. I think that's a good way to start. But I think and I hope that this campaign, through communication, we're able to say to people, be mindful of what you say online. Be mindful of your behaviors. So we also want to talk about, in order to engage with us in this campaign, you can follow us, share our post. However, we would like to keep you up to date. So if you follow us, we're going to be giving more details about how to respond to hate speech online. We're going to be showing you examples of hate speeches online. We're going to be maybe giving stories of individuals who have experienced them and how they responded. And if you also want to engage further, you can you can join us in using our hashtag to bring awareness by using hashtag #ThinkKind, or hashtag #ThinkSpeakKind as a shorter form.
Yes.
So please be aware, please be mindful, and share this video with your friends and family. And I hope we have,
A fruitful conversation.
yes. So thank you so much for engaging with us today. Remember, stay positive, think positive.
Preview.